and we are live for a new episode of the Electric Podcast. I am Fred Lambert, your host, and I'm joined by Seth Wintram. How you doing, Seth?
I'm good.
All right, we're starting a little bit early today, an hour early, set as an obligation later on. But otherwise, we still have a good hour, so nothing's gonna change too much on the show. Or maybe a fewer people's gonna be watching live. So if you guys have any question to put in the comments right now, when you have a better chance of us getting to them, you can put them down right now with a question in capitalized, so that it's easier for us to find out. So this week's episode of the Electric Podcast is also brought to you by Electrify America, the largest fast public fast charging network for electric vehicles in the US. We're gonna have a little bit more to say about them later on the show, but thanks Electrify America for sponsoring the podcast. We're gonna start off this week. If this week is gonna be a bit different of the show though, because not a lot of Tesla news. There was a lot of other vehicles, other companies monopolizing the well, I guess not monopolizing because it's spread out between a bunch of other companies. But normally it's Tesla who monopolizes the EV news scene. But now this week there was a bunch of stuff. And first of all, just earlier today we announced our 2021 vehicle of the year, and it's none other than the Rivian R1T electric pickup truck. Uh, so this is officially now the first electric pickup truck to be delivered to customers in the North American market, or I mean anywhere. Like I know there's other like people that say, is this pickup truck, this is pickup truck. There's a bunch of like commercial pickup truck that are used for like fleet purposes, that are like put together, retrofitted with the electric powertrain. There's some Chinese like super cheap pickup truck with small battery packs. Micah has, of course, taken delivery of one. Is made a post on it on Electrek. We're talking here about a fully like commercialized electric pickup truck that can compete with other pickup truck in their segment. And that's what the warranty is, and it's even a little bit more than that, because it's a very complete vehicle that has all the latest technology in it, has a fairly efficient powertrain for the size of the vehicle and the kind of labor that it can do, and it's it's hitting the mark on pretty much everything that you need for a first generation electric pickup truck. What do you think, Said?
Yeah, even beyond that, like
Mm,
it kind of feels like I don't want to say they hit it out of the park on this one, but like
mm,
what are the major complaints? Like I've kind of just been hanging out in the comments, and besides the regular trolls yelling vaporware or whatever,
mm,
there's not a lot of things to complain about. One obviously is the weight. It's electric. It's going to have a huge battery. Some people are concerned about mudding, getting stuck in the mud, whatever. Um, there's, not too much to complain about. The software was a little slow. The mapping software was a little slow when we drove it, but that's going to get fixed in software updates. Um, just kind of like amazing first try for Rivian. And we've driven, both you and I have driven like kind of first tries from startups, and oftentimes like you close the door and it sounds
mm,
like it's going to fall apart, or the software is like rebooting. We'll have the CEO in the car, and he'll be like, "Oh my gosh, that worked! I can't believe." So uh, this thing is really, really kind of uh, the fit and finish is really nice, like
mm.
more like an established automaker. At least the ones we drove. We'll see how the deliveries go. Um, what else are we? I mean, like it's hard to like. There's so many things about this car that are pretty amazing. It'll charge at 210 kilowatts. It's got a huge frunk. We're for the people watching live, we're kind of looking at the video we did. It's got a flashlight in the door. It's got the Bluetooth speaker. It's got a super nice interior, like probably one of the best interiors I've ever sat in. Um, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. So you're going to beat all but the fastest electric cars. Like, just pulling up to anything, anywhere, you're going to probably beat them off the line. And, going off road, this thing goes where no other car vehicle will go,
Mm.
at least a production vehicle. So like it's kind of the best of all the worlds. There's nothing really to complain about.
Yeah, they nailed both the pickup side of things and the electric vehicle side of things, and
Right.
just put them together. And no one has done that yet. Of course, today we just announced that GM just announced that they started delivery of the Hummer EV pickup truck. So there's actually, like, within a few months, there's actually two electric pickup trucks now being delivered to customer in the U.S. market, which is awesome, and it's going to grow fast from there. But they're not exactly in the same category. They're both expensive for sure, but the Hummer, the way that GM is approaching things with the edition one, it's called, the first one,
Hmm.
$120,000, and it's going to be still a few years before you get an $80,000 version. Rivian is still expensive vehicle, the R1T, but it's already like getting delivered at the price closer to the base version of the Hummer EV. So it's not accessible to everyone yet. But if you look at the pickup market period, not just electric one right now, it's super hard to get your hands on one to start with. The demand is strong versus the supply, and people are jacking up the prices too. The dealerships are jacking up the prices on all the pickup trucks. So it's not completely out of range for pickup truck buyers right now. And it's, if you looked at it, it fulfills a lot of your needs. I guess the biggest complaint I see right now is, if you're someone who plans to use it as a work vehicle, and you do plan to carry loads with it, or tow some heavy trailers with it, yes, the efficiency goes down and your range goes down too. But for the most part, it's something that you can work around it. And everyone knows that's also the case with a gas powered vehicle. Maybe you do start with a little bit more range to start with, so that it affects it less. But you know where it doesn't affect it less? Doesn't affect it less on your wallet, because it affects the efficiency the same way. So it affects the gas consumption the same way. With the gas prices right now, you have to take that into account. It's super expensive to tow with a pickup truck right now. With the Rivian, it's super cheap, really, depending on where you get your electricity. But it's uh it's really a game changing vehicle, like you said in the post here, and it's it comes at the right time, and it's critical to accelerate the adoption of electric vehicle in the US, just because how popular the pickup truck segment is in North America. Like, if you don't have electric options in that segment, you won't have any significant adoption of electric vehicles. You just won't. But no, what's interesting now too with Rivian is that they went public recently. They went public just last month, and we reported how happy we're about that, because it was a giant IPO that brought them $13 billion, and that's money that's going to go toward accelerating electric vehicle production in the US, which is badly needed. But at the same time, what it did too is, like, it made Rivian a lot more transparent for the last. I think, when was Rivian founded? Like 2009, I want to say, something like that. So for more than a decade, they've been a private company, and they spend most of that time in stealth mode, and even as a private company out of stealth mode, most recently, we was kind of opaque in terms of the information we're getting. Now, as a public company, they have to do quarterly reports, and we get a lot more information about what's happening. And last night, was their first earnings report, and we learned a ton about the company's current state. One of the big, also more consumer oriented headline was that they confirmed that they actually already started deliveries of the R1S, the SUV version of the R1T. Uh, well, I mean, it's different
The
vehicles,
CEO
but
and the CFO, but you know,
yeah, they were delivered. The two units were delivered to employees, executive, really. So it's not. But the same thing
we'll
happened
take
with the
it.
R1T. Yeah, it's already in production. They already produced a few, and they already delivered a few, even if it's internally. But the R1T has been delivered to, I mean, a few, maybe not a few hundreds, but they delivered 300 or something. I don't know how many of those went to actual customers that are not employees, because Rivian has plenty of employees, and I'm sure are also reservation holders. But we did get a much better look into the financials. On the financial sides of thing, so this reports was for the third quarter, ended in September 30th. So it's been a little while, and that was pre-IPO too. So the financials are not reflecting exactly the current state of the company, but they did give us some update dating December 15, so that we get a better idea of the current state of the company. So in Q3, they had $1 million in revenue. So they did deliver a few R1T in September, not a lot, and they lost 82 million on that $1 million in revenue. So that's a lot of loss. It cost them $82 million to produce those few pickup trucks that brought them $1 million. That's to be expected early in a production ramp, especially in the kind of production ramp that Rivian is attempting to achieve, where you already have a kind of a big factory running, producing a few cars by hand, basically. So until they can automate more parts of the production process, those vehicles are going to be worth a ton of, not worth, I should say, cost a lot of money to be made. Like, it's still worth whatever they're selling them for.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, because those customers that taking delivery right now, they could like literally say, my car cost $1 million to make and I bought them for 100,000. That would be like technically true, but like, try to sell it for $1 million. Good luck. In terms of the financials aspect to it, like, so $82 million was just the negative gross margin on selling those vehicles, but there's also a ton of operating expenses going on with Rivian's operations, and overall the net loss for the last quarter was $1.2 billion, which sounds like a lot, because it is a lot, but you have to put it in perspective. So at the end of last quarter, Rivian also had $8 billion in cash. So they can literally have, at that current burn rate, they can last more than a year. But that's also was pre-IPO. So the $13 billion that they got from the IPO wasn't counted in that. So they're probably sitting closer to $20 billion right now, which is a lot of money. And it's at the current burn rate, it would last long. However, I think the burn rate is going to increase because they're attempting to produce more cars right now, and that's going to cost them a lot more money. So you can expect them to burn a lot more cash in Q4, probably even more in Q1 too. But they have the money right now to sustain them until they expect to achieve a production ramp up and eventually become financially sustainable. There was some bad news though in the report. The main one being they had guided a production of 1,200 vehicles in 2021, which was kind of ambitious for like your first vehicle, and in 2021 they only through September to December they could produce those cars. Now they say that they expect to miss that target by a few hundred vehicles. So it's a significant miss, but it's still, it's not that big of a deal. It's gonna make their Q4 look bad for sure on paper, but on the good news side, the demand is extremely strong for the vehicle. They said that by the end of the quarter, so September 30th, they had 48,000 reservations, and by December 15th, so over a very short period of time since they started deliveries, now they had 71,000 reservations. So they grew the reservation by almost 50% over the space of 2 months. Which is very impressive, and it shows that the delivery of the vehicle were very successful. Like the fact that they started the delivery, they have the first mover advantage, and people are like considering more. Also, it might not sound like much if you compare them to like Ford having 200,000 reservation for the Lightning and Tesla having 1 million reservation for the Cybertruck, but Tesla and Ford required $100 deposit, and production is still about a year away for those vehicles, so maybe less so for the Ford, but it's easier of a commitment to make for people to just drop $100 and hope to get a car in a year or two.
Also,
Rivian,
I don't want to toot my horn or the other journalists that covered the Rivian too hard, but those reviews came out in September, like the drives. So, I think a lot of people, myself included, were kind of waiting to see what actually driving a Rivian was like, even if they would get that far. And, after driving one for real, like it's like, I didn't even wait till the weekend was over to make an order, because I knew like as soon as people saw how great it was, they'd be ordering. So hopefully,
and how much did it cost also a deposit to order?
It's $1,000.
So
Yeah.
that's a much bigger commitment than $100
For sure.
too.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, and if you're buying a vehicle, like it's so much different. Buying a vehicle that you're going to have to wait a year for and put a ton of money down on, or versus something like you go to a lot and you pick one up. I hate when electric cars that are you have to order ahead of time are put up against, well, there's like a million F-150s sold a year. Well, they're making a million and they're all over the place. It's really easy to buy one. It's not the same thing at all. We need an
Yeah.
apples to apples comparison.
No, yeah, for sure. And no, I mean Rivian right now is sitting pretty with what's happening. Is just like a lot of people who invested in the company now are kind of frustrated because it lost 10% today following the earnings report. It dipped below $100, which is lower than the IPO. So people who were pre-IPO made some money, but people that invested publicly, so that the average investor, are losing money on the thing now. And that's kind of what I said early on when the IPO started, and people started asking us like what we think of the valuation and everything. Where my point was, I think long term it's not really overvalued, but I think people are gonna get, once the earnings reports start coming in and people see how much money they're burning through, and that the expectation to become financially sustainable becomes more realistic, which is probably like a few years out still. It might cool thing down. So I still haven't invested in Rivian. I think the price is more attractive right now for sure, but I'm still thinking that the next earning report early next year for Q4, where I would expect Rivian to lose probably maybe $2.5 billion in a quarter, could make it more attractive at that point of the price. I still
I
think though
I agree.
that they're gonna be okay long term. It's just that they're gonna burn through a lot of that $20 billion that they have in pocket right now. And the other thing too, that was announced with the earnings report was the new. Oh, what is the leave side here? Can I just back up? Okay, sorry about that. Was they announced that that new factory in Georgia. So there's been well, not rumors, actually, they confirmed that they were already looking for a second location for a factory in the U.S. Georgia was on the top list. Now, with the release of the earnings report, they confirmed that they're going to build a factory just outside of Atlanta, just on the east side. A $5 billion electric vehicle factory to produce 400,000 vehicles per year. So how does that play with the earnings, what we just discussed in terms of the valuation of the company? So having deploying a ton of production capacity that is not producing, that's what's capital hungry. That's very capital intensive. It requires a lot of capital, and it doesn't bring any return until you ramp up production. Now they're already doing that with the first factory that's producing very little vehicle right now, even though it's set up for 200,000 vehicles per year. Doing that with a second one seems like a very bad move, because now you have two of these giant assets that cost you a ton of money, and it's still costing you a ton of money and not bringing any profit. So it sounds like a bad move, but Rivian is doing it smartly. I think here's why. They don't plan to start construction on this factory until summer of 2022. And it's not going to produce any vehicle until 2024. So it's a big investment still, but the bulk of the investment is not going to come until the second half of next year, and even that probably more towards 2023. So by that time, Rivian expects to have ramp up production in Illinois, and mm, uh, and that's going to be so the normal factory in Illinois is not going to be as much of a financial strain on the company, and they're going to be able to shift that strain to this one. And also they're going to be able to take everything they learn from building up and ramping up Illinois, the normal factory in Illinois. I don't think they're going to be in full production by the time they start construction there, but by the time that they start deploying production capacity in Georgia, probably later in 2023, then they should have a really good handle on the ramp up production in normal, and which should result from a much smoother experience in Georgia. So with that in mind, I think they're gonna be real set real nice. However, I think between now and when they start spending money on the Georgia factory, I think there's gonna be a lot of financial pressure on the company. But again, with $20 billion in the pocket, like they can always like play with the faucet here and like slow things down if money starts going out of the company too fast. But overall, very very hype on what Rivian is doing right now. I'm just not ready to be an investor just yet, but I'm keeping an eye on it. And you know what? Maybe I'm gonna miss the boat too. Maybe even though I don't think I'm wrong in terms of like how much money they're gonna burn. I think the burn is just starting. It's gonna be better, but maybe investors just won't care about it and just the stock's gonna jump up before they become financially sustainable, which happened with Tesla. So you don't know. It's just that that happened with Tesla when Tesla was worth a few $1 billion, not when it was worth $100 billion. So it was a smaller risk for Tesla, I'd say. But good for Georgia. I mean,
electric vehicle stocks in general just feel quite high. Like it doesn't feel like realistic, tied to reality. So, if there's a correction, I would definitely think about getting into Rivian, but it just feels like every EV stock is a little bit high. And, thank God I'm in a couple of them and I've been there for a while, but, it just doesn't seem like right now is a great time. I mean, what it's still valued at like around $100 billion. That seems
85. I think it dropped to 85 with that 10% drop.
$85 billion, and they've just put out their first few vehicles. I feel like that's pretty optimistic. I mean, that's what almost as big as like VW. Just doesn't seem real.
Yeah, they have this also the Amazon thing always hanging in the background. That's like that's a very lucrative contract that they have, so it's always useful for them. But yeah, I mean you're right. A lot of EV stocks are valued. A shameless plug though with my Zalcon green investment ideas. I do try to find the ones that are actually quite cheap right now, that like are undervalued, because you're right. The most of them are super overvalued, but there's still a few gem in and now and again that in the EV space that I think have yet to pop.
Yeah, actually, I got Valet from you on that. Made some good money on that so far.
All right, next big EV news this week that again wasn't Tesla for a change was the Ioniq 5 pricing, and we just was it last week that we kind of gave our
guesses?
Guesses or predictions on it.
We were wrong, or I was wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I was a little bit closer to the price, but I was still I was still a little bit too high. So very good news on that front. The Ioniq 5, all the trims came out for the US pricing, and let me pull out the chart here. So the starting price is just under $40,000 for the standard range rear-wheel drive version. So the single motor with a smaller battery pack, and this is the only one with a smaller battery pack in the US. So they did it like that. We know that the range drops significantly when you go all-wheel drive. So they figure with the U.S. market not really hungry for vehicle under 200 miles of range, which probably would have happened with the dual motor version. They went with just the rear motor rear-wheel drive version for the 58 kilowatt battery pack, which gives you an EPA estimated range of 220 miles of range for $40,000. It's a very good price. Yep. And they won't be able to make nearly enough of those for sure, because you still get the 800 volt system. You still get extremely high charge rate, super fast charging. We drove that one in Germany, like you talked about last week. It is a bit underpowered for what you're used to in electric vehicles, but again, we're used to mostly the higher ends electric vehicles. If you're coming from someone who hasn't had an EV before, that could be a great option for you, because you're still gonna feel like it's quite pippy for a car that size. And you still get the great form factor of the Ioniq. I mean, not for everyone, but I think it's a great form factor with 220 miles of range, which is still good for. It still works well for long distance travel because of the fast charging.
Yeah.
But then you want a bigger battery pack with rear-wheel drive. You get over 300 miles of range. They did release the EPA range last week. We already discussed them. Then the price goes up to $43,000. So a lot more expensive, but less expensive than Model 3 rear-wheel drive with the standard range battery pack. So what's the price on that right now? It's the Model 3.
I don't know.
I
It
think,
changes so much.
yeah, I want to say it's like 44, 45. Oh, why do I get the Model X? Put Model
And
3.
also, like with the Build Back Better in limbo right now, you're pretty much guaranteed to get 7,500 back from Hyundai, even if nothing happens there.
Yeah,
If the U.S.
yeah,
government shuts down,
yeah,
uh, you still get 7,500 back from Hyundai because they haven't hit their numbers yet. Although I
yeah,
have a feeling that they're going to hit 200,000 pretty soon
yeah, for
with this
sure.
lineup.
Well, it depends on how much they actually decide to allocate to the U.S. market, but
That's
still.
true.
So yeah, the Model 3 rear-wheel drive standard range right now is gives you 267 miles of range and costs for $45,000. So here you get the rear-wheel drive, so same thing, um, a bigger battery pack with bidirectional charging. You get more range based on the EPA standard at 203 miles, and you save $1,000. So this is starting to be like extremely attractive for people. Of course, you don't get the autopilot or like you don't get the full self driving and everything like that. But there's other things that you get. I mean, in terms of autopilot, Hyundai has its equivalent of the smart cruise control. I mean, equivalent. I've never found it to be quite as good as autopilot for the most part, but it does its job in terms of adaptive cruise control for traffic situations. So in the traffic, it's pretty good, and you do get that vehicle to load capacity, which you don't in the Model 3, and then that can be very useful. There's still not quite the accessories that you need in the US to deploy that, but it's coming. That stuff's coming, and then that have the car. You just unlock so much value in your vehicle just to have that capacity at least. So
Yeah.
whenever you can link it to the grid or to whatever load you want, it's there. And if you want to go camping or something like that, that capability is already there. But for actual like house load and things like that, it's a bit more complicated. Um, then the first dual motor version, the SE. So this one gets you the all-wheel drive. The range drops down to 256, so you get an
That's kind of
efficiency
nuts.
hit. Yeah,
I mean,
there's a big
50
difference.
miles.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
I mean, do you
Uh,
remember when the first Tesla D event happened, and they actually got better mileage with the all-wheel drive
Yeah,
somehow,
that set the tone for the dual motor kind of thing because the Tesla was the first to it, like they are
right?
for most things. They were the first to it, and they set the tone that if you get a dual motor and you do it smartly, you get more range out of it because then you have different efficiency for each motor, and then you use that where they're most efficient at. That's when that motor
Right,
takes over. It made a ton of sense, but still, then every other car has lost efficiency on that, including Tesla. Tesla also has
right.
lost some efficiency on that too. So I don't know what happened there, to be honest. Like that go over my head a little bit.
Yeah, 50 miles. It
Mm.
seems like something's wrong. Like that they need to like go back to the firmware on that and figure out what happened.
Yeah,
Because
but
losing
then
50 miles of range is crazy.
you compare it to the Model 3 though. Like if you have to go to the Model 3 dual motor version with the long battery pack, so you did get more range out of the Model 3, a lot more at 334 miles of range. But it's a $51,000 car versus 47,000 here for the. So the charge, like it's very consistent in terms of the pricing for the Ioniq 5 here, like the price that they had for the bigger motor and the price that they had for the second the bigger batch pack and the second motor. Then they have the limited version, which is the first one that they're going to deliver. It start at $50,000 if you get the rear-wheel drive version, 54 500 if you get the one with the dual motor, and those are the one with the bigger like 220 horsepower too, which a little bit pippier. But yeah, very good news on Ionic front with those prices. Which brings us to the Kia EV6, which is kind of trailing a little bit behind the Ionic. We know that it's based on all the same technology on the same platform. You just have a different form factor, different brand on it. But so we don't have the prices yet, though the Ionic 5 prices should give us a pretty good idea of the prices that the EV6 is going to get. But this week it's the EPA range that was released. So like that was last week for Ionic 5. So if they're consistent, I would expect we get EV6 pricing next week, maybe something like that. it ends up being a little bit more efficient than the Ioniq 5 in that form factor. So the rear-wheel drive with the bigger battery pack gets you 310 miles of range, and the drop is also less significant for the dual motor version that gets 274 miles of range compared to the 256 we just talked with
Yeah,
Ioniq
it's a
5.
big drop,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
big increase, I guess.
yeah,
Smaller drop, bigger increase.
yeah, exactly. So if you want a little bit more efficient vehicle, and to be honest, I'm a bigger fan of the form factor of the EV60. Like, and I do love
Oh
the
yeah,
Ioniq 5. Yeah, but I
it's
look
grown
at
on me
that.
too.
It's
Yeah,
it's a good looking car right there. I think the
yeah.
front end is just better than the Ioniq 5, and the rest is like equivalent, I would say. But no, I think this one is gonna be like if to be honest, they might even like I think the pricing is gonna be a little bit higher up. They're gonna charge a little bit of a premium for it. It's more efficient, and I haven't conducted any poll or anything like that, but I think most people would agree with me that it's better looking than Ioniq 5. I don't know though; it's subjective.
What about the Genesis? You think that would be your GMP choice,
The
EGMP
Gen
or whatever that the Genesis? What is it called?
the G80
Uh,
or something. What is it? I don't
yeah,
even remember what I don't remember what it would look like right now.
it's a good looking car.
Yeah,
By the way, we should do our read real quick.
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
This episode of the Electrek podcast is brought to you by Electrify America. Electrify America now operates the largest coast to coast ultra fast charging network with more than 650 charging stations and growing. It currently has plans underway for around 800 total charging stations with more than 3,500 chargers to be completed by December of this year. And it plans to have more than 1,800 ultra-fast charging stations and 10,000 individual chargers installed by the end of 2025. That includes 50 kilowatt to 350 kilowatt chargers near highways, 50 kilowatt to 150 kilowatt chargers in metropolitan areas. The newly launched Electrify America mobile apps now offer contactless payments along with CarPlay and Android Auto integration, and you can save up to 25% on charging with the new Pass Plus subscription plans. If you're an EV driver and want to learn more about Electrify America and its growing network of charging stations, find out what they're up to at electrifyamerica.com. That's electrifyamerica.com, or hit up the link in the show notes. Thanks again to Electrify America for sponsoring this week's show.
Yes, thank you, EA. Moving to GM, so GM announced today that the Hummer EV just started deliveries, and we know that on the Chevy side there's a Silverado electric coming, and now they announced a third electric pickup truck, the GMC Electric Sierra Denali pickup truck. They released this teaser of the front end here. Doesn't reveal much, but looking good so far.
Yep.
And it's the second GMC electric pickup truck, third GM electric pickup truck coming to market. They didn't say when it's coming to market. They did say that they did the unveiling. I thought that they released the date of the unveiling.
I imagine there's going to be some at CES because,
And
Mario Kart is going to be.
Yeah, the Silverado though is the one at the CES. So I mean,
But
unless they gave
it's the
us
same
two,
company.
yeah. But
I
it's
don't know.
Chevy. It's a Chevy brand. I don't know. Maybe like give the. I mean, I'm not gonna complain if they gave us two electric pickup trucks at CES, but kind of have my doubt. So you say it will be revealed next year. They didn't say when next year, and they didn't say when it's going to market. They did say that it's going to be produced at Factory Zero, and at the Hamtramck. Did I misspell that? Hamtramck?
No, it's weird.
Yeah.
Hamtramck.
Hamtramck, Michigan. Factory Zero is where they're producing also the Hummer EV. So yeah, I
Is
mean
the Denali going to be smaller than the Silverado, or is it the same vehicle basically?
I think it's similar in size. It's just the Denali is like the luxury version of it, kind of.
Okay. Yeah, it's got a good look.
But I mean, I say it's the same in size, but I think they have the Denali like XT, and like they have also like a bigger version. You have like different cabin version and everything. But I think in terms of base version, I think it's similar. All right, Toyota also like this is a pickup truck season, people. Well, Toyota had the bigger like battery electric vehicle announcement, because we know at Toyota you have to be careful how they choose their word. They like that electrified word. But now they made this announcement about their battery electric vehicle strategy, which has taken a backseat to their hybrid and to their fuel cell initiative. But then now they kind of changed their tune a little bit, but it's still a quite vague situation. They talked about rolling out 30 battery EV models by 2030 globally, offering a full lineup of battery EV in passenger and commercial segments. So basically, what everybody else have been talking about for a while. But I mean, 30 EVs though within the next 10 years or 9 years actually. It's there's gonna be a lot coming fast at least. Then they reveal this like lineup of vehicles here. So you have the I mean, this is such a bad picture. I don't even know what is this one here. The BZ4X. I think so. So the only one that's like really gonna be a production car that we know is I think is this one here. Like I'm not even sure what this. Yeah, that looks more like it here. And then all of these other vehicles are apparently going to be coming up are going to be like this is early production concepts, and they're
Are
going to
these
have
are
production
what we're
vehicles.
looking at? Is that a real picture or is that like a render?
This is so Photoshop. I like it could be a render, but they were actual concept there. So they're actual like early concept,
So
but
they actually built the clay
yeah, but they
model, or
might they never drove, they never rolled into that, so they might be all clay vehicles. Like we don't know. But there's one that caught our attention was of course the pickup truck in the back here that they focused on. This nice little pickup truck. Toyota is a major manufacturer of pickup truck. I don't know. It's not always we think about American companies for that, but they do produce a lot of pickup trucks. So the fact
and
that they
that's
are
more
getting,
Rivian size actually.
yeah,
That's
and,
Tacoma, smaller than
mm.
a F-150 type.
The only other vehicle that they focused on was a Lexus, which but was actually the same Lexus prototype that they unveiled earlier this year. They just changed the name of the vehicle, but it was the exact same vehicle. So I know people like a lot of media were like reporting, "Oh, unveiled the new concept for the Lexus," but it was literally the same car that they unveiled earlier this year. They just changed like one letter in the name or something. But yeah, so a little bit cleaner, more pro battery electric vehicle language coming out of Toyota with this announcement, but like it's super hard to get super excited about Toyota battery electric vehicles because of what they've done before on that front. All right, we have a few more news items to discuss, and then we're gonna jump into the comment section. So if you have any question right now, put them in all caps in the comments, and we're gonna get to them in just a few minutes. But here, this one is for the people that have been following electric for a long time. I don't know if you remember Kreisel Electric. We reported on them a lot way back because they were making a lot of headlines because they were kind of laughing at the German automakers. They would take their existing cars, like the biggest one was of course the Volkswagen Golf, where back when there was the e-Golf, they made like a better e-Golf that Volkswagen could ever do. Fitted a bigger battery pack in there, getting it more range, more efficient. And that's what they did for the most part. They did a bunch of prototype project. They grabbed a lot of headlines by making a G class and electric Hummer for Arnold Schwarzenegger. They sold $1 million classic Porsche 910. They grabbed a lot of headlines back then, but then they went kind of quiet. They were still doing a lot of battery packs for other companies and things like that. Their focus is really on the battery modules and battery packs technology. But now the big news this week is they got acquired by none other than John Deere.
Mm.
So the American tractor maker or tools maker, agricultural equipment maker, um, just a giant company. Of course, everyone knows John Deere. They didn't acquire the whole company, but they bought a majority stake, so they own most of it right now. And they said that they're gonna work together now to, in their word, to develop high density, high durability electric battery modules in pack to use in the company's patented battery technology in their own vehicle lineup. So they didn't specify of any new vehicle that they're gonna get it specifically, but Mr. Pierre Guyot, I think is his name, the vice president of John Deere Power System, did had quite strong comment to make for a company that doesn't really sell much EVs right now. He did say that um, in the very near future, John Deere's turf equipment, compact utility tractors, small tractors, compact construction vehicles, and some road building equipment will rely solely on batteries as a power source. So this is quite the statement here. A big part of John Deere's lineup in the very near future is going to go completely all electric. So very good news on John Deere side. Uh, I mean, this is going to be a big. It's going to be a big investment for farmers and for people that work on the land and construction and everything. But it's going to pay off so much over time. Like those that are doing well right now, it's going to be a big advantage for them because those that can afford a big investment like that, they need to do their math and everything, but the return investment should be pretty good because if you can cut down on all your fossil fuels and just get yourself like a nice solar system on your farm and just charge all your equipment through solar, like you're gonna save so much money. It's gonna be a big investment at first, so you're gonna be ready to do that, but once it's done, you're gonna be big competitive advantage. Like those farms are always looking like where can we cut some cost and everything, and
Yeah, and they have lots
it's
of space for solar panels.
exactly. Alright, shifting to some Tesla news this week, there was a new Model S prototype that was spotted around Fremont factory. We've been hearing rumors about it for a little while, but Seth has heard that there was a car that was spotted on Cato Road, but we couldn't confirm it. But now someone actually spotted it. Um, it's a tweet AJ Sang, I think is his name.
I think that was the actual photographer, and the guy who
Mm.
sent him in was the driver, perhaps the Luli divert, whatever.
Okay.
It was a little bit weird, but we
Yeah, we
talked to
we
them.
we we had some issue tracking down the actual people behind the images, but these are the images here. Like, kind not great pictures, admittedly, but still, you can clearly see the new headlights. You can see there a trim missing here, or it's a new design. I don't know because again, we don't see it well enough. But it used to be like another trim here that is not there. But the biggest change here that raised some doubt about what is this new Model S prototype for is this charge port here, which basically looks like a Model 3, Model Y charge port instead of the Model S one, which is normally like extremely small. It just fits perfectly Tesla's proprietary plug. Now it's as large as a Model 3 one. So raises some question. This could be we know that for the European Model S and X, Tesla is using the CCS plug, and it needs a bigger charge port. So maybe this is the European version, but Tesla just told the European buyers that the car won't be coming until like the second half of next year. So I don't know if that would be it. Now the other big rumor is like this is the next upcoming Model S for the American market, but with CCS as a standard. We don't know that. Like this is just speculation based on the charge port, but it would be a big move though if they do that.
It would be
Uh,
cool if it had both. I mean,
mhm.
either way. Um, yeah, I mean that space is pretty big, and I know on European, or am I thinking Chinese Model 3 and Ys, they have two different charge ports in that Model 3 Y charge area.
Yeah.
So theoretically, they could fit two things there.
Hmm.
Um, you did mention that Tesla was telling Model S buyers in Europe that they won't get their vehicles until the second half of the year. I think maybe, I mean, that does make a little bit of sense. If this is the car that they're going to have at the second half of the year, then maybe that's what they're waiting for. Like
Oh,
getting
you mean
this
if
car.
once they make the European version, they would also switch the American version to CCS? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
they're testing this car here, but they test all cars here. And this was the guy said it was in Milipas or near Fremont, um, not necessarily near the headquarters, but it sounds like um, if this is going to be the CCS version, that they're definitely going to want to wait in Europe for the CCS version because all Tesla chargers in Europe are CCS. So I don't know, couple
Yeah.
possible scenarios there. I also think that Tesla is really about making one version. So if they're going to make this version for Europe, I think it's probably also going to be the future US version. Obviously, Tesla doesn't want anybody to know about that because people will wait to buy the new upgraded one. But I think
Hmm.
that's kind of what the plan is.
Yeah. That makes sense. Gigafactory Texas. There was some news from Elon Musk on the expansion, the kind of size of the expansion that we can expect from Gigafactory Texas. Because production is supposed to start any day now. Just like last month, Tesla was still guiding for start of production by the end of the year. The end of the year is in 2 weeks. So technically, production should start any day unless things change in the last month. But there was some talk in the local media in Texas that, as usual, like Tesla is just siphoning subsidies for the government, and that's the reason the hate of of Tesla, and blah 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 blah. Even though I think it got like $60 million for the factory, which is like nothing compared to what they got from like Nevada, and probably nothing to what other states offered Tesla to get this factory, and then Tesla still wanted to go to Austin. So like, people shouldn't be complaining too much about it. But then Elon, in response to that, said that Tesla is gonna invest over time over $10 billion in Gigafactory Texas, and he expects Tesla to employ directly at least 20,000 people, indirectly over 100,000. The indirectly part is always super hard to actually like very quantify exactly, but normally like you get 20,000 good paying job, 5x indirectly improvement. It's not completely out of the ordinary. It's just like super hard to prove. But 20,000 is a lot more. Like Tesla was probably guiding 10,000 people working there, which is still a lot. It's equivalent to what Tesla is employing right now in Nevada and Gigafactory Nevada. So a lot of people, and 10 billion is a lot too, because we just reported last month where there's some filings revealed that Tesla had the budget $1 billion for the first phase of the project to deploy Model Y production there. So you're going from that to over 10 billion. But we know that the project is, I mean, once they put like Cybertruck production there, just that alone is probably like a $2 or $3 billion investment just to deploy the production capacity of that. Then there's the headquarters too that are apparently going to be at the site. So you're gonna have to invest a lot of money there, and that also gonna definitely help with the headcount. They're getting to 20,000,
Have
but
we seen any pictures of the headquarters building at all? Like, have we?
no. Well,
No.
like we thought, like the exact address bring you to like the trailer park where they have all the construction work, but that doesn't mean anything. It could literally be in that building. I don't know.
Hmm.
Like the address is always weird when you have a new construction project like that.
Yeah, I know Elon is very like hands-on. Likes to be on the factory floor
Yeah.
type of thing. So
And
maybe
that
HQ is just going to be like in the middle of the factory,
Yeah, and that building is giant. Like it's
right?
even the drone footage don't even give it justice because of the distance. If you look at someone, a lot of people are posting pictures driving because the highway is right there. You can see the highway right there. You can see people posting pictures from the highway, just filming when they start seeing it. And by the time they actually passed it, those are the most impressive picture because like they're driving forever until they actually get past the single building. It's really impressive. Also, it's super tall. Like look at those. This is a semi truck right there that we see on that picture. Like it looks like not even
Like
half
five,
as big as the
six
first
times high.
floor, and you have three
Yeah,
of those floors. It's it's quite the building. It's quite the building.
looks like you could land like a jet on top of it too.
Yeah, it looked like a runway. Yeah. If you put it flat, of course, it's supposed to have solar panels on it at some point.
Can't land on solar.
No, expensive crash landing.
Yeah.
The Yeah, we like to do a quick update about what's happening with the Build Back Better bill every week because of the implication for the electric vehicle sector, and especially the reform to the tax credit that's included in the bill. What we've been hearing from the Senate this week is that they might pause the effort to pass the legislation this year because we know that the what do you call it, the session, the Senate session is going to end soon. So it looks like they don't feel like they're going to be able to pass the bill soon enough. So we might not see it this year. It's a bummer, but I don't know what's going to happen with it. Like how soon can they move back to it next year if it's frozen forever? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Apparently, that guy is the enemy number one for
Uh,
it. He's the vote.
Joe Manchin.
Yeah. Because it's what is it in the Senate right now? It's like 50-50 Democrats, Republican, and then Harris as the veto, like
Tiebreaker.
the tiebreaker. Yeah, the tiebreaker is a better word for
Also,
it.
I think Christian cinema is also kind of a problem She's a Democrat from Arizona, also kind of on the
fence.
On the fence, to put it nicely.
All right. Let's jump into the comments and the questions right now. If you have any, just put them in right now. We're gonna get to them in just a few minutes. We have, I think, fewer people in the stream since we started as unusual hour, but we're gonna get. We still have a few questions. Looks like.
Yep. All right, should we jump in?
Yeah. Put them in all caps. So we not. I think you just skip one in all cap though, Francis.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Set. Yeah.
All right, why Tesla doesn't support Apple CarPlay? It will make people so happy. Patricio Benedon.
Yeah.
It's a good question. I feel like it would be nice if that was an option. Certainly, having your phone just kind of running the maps and it would be at least another option. Like if you didn't want to have to do Tesla stuff, it would be nice if they could run it in a virtual space. But Tesla doesn't want to do that. I thought it was interesting when I talked to Rivian's CEO RJ Scringe about it. He was like, as we look to the future, we really don't want to cede all of our interface to Apple and Google. We want to build that. We want to have that direct relationship with our customer. I think Tesla's kind of in the same boat.
Exactly the same, but they're just not as open about it. Like RJ's gonna say it, but because and to be fair, that's actually an Apple move too. Like Apple is all about keeping you in their ecosystem and everything. So Tesla wants to do the same thing. Because if you remember, like a ways back, if you've been following Tesla for a long time, like around 2016, 2015, Tesla was talking about that. Like Elon was like, yeah, we're working on phone mirroring. We're working on let you use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and all that stuff. And then they completely drop it, this idea. And now it looks like, yeah, Tesla wants to own the entire user experience inside the car. So yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. And for that reason that RJ is saying, like it's just we want to control that experience inside the car. Not offset that to Apple. And if you are intentional about it and you're like, we want to do that because we think we can create a better experience and everything, like, okay, that makes sense. It's just that a lot of automakers cannot do it. Like they have a long track record of having a very poor user experience in their car screen. So it doesn't make sense for them. And for those automakers, like, go for it and like make it the whole experience. Like Polestar is the best example for that. They're like, all right, like let's just focus on the car side and give you the whole experience, and they went all in it. Like the whole experience is on Android Auto, so it's not like it's Google software in it.
And they're not the only ones. Like I mean, they were the first, I think, but I think Chevy, Ford.
No, but there's a big difference with those. Those like allow you to put Apple CarPlay and everything in it. Like Polestar, when like Google can do this better than us, let them do it. Like it's the only experience inside the car. If I'm honest,
I think Ford they don't have it now, but I think Ford and GM and I think Jaguar and Volvo. Well, Volvo's part similar to Polestar, are all talking about having Android Auto experiences in their car. Not just CarPlay, not just CarPlay and Android Auto, but the Android for cars. So it's coming. I mean, these major major legacy automakers don't know software, so they're just like, hey, we'll just have we'll outsource it, and they don't realize that's kind of like the interface with the driver. And they probably shouldn't be doing that, but maybe Apple or Google is better for that kind of stuff. All right, next question. When do you think Tesla will get into a production rate of 1,000 Cybertrucks per week? Well, they haven't gotten an assembly line yet, so.
Yeah, I mean, if look, I don't know more than Elon Musk, obviously, about Tesla. So if normally it's safe to put a little bit delay on Elon's timeline, but right now, if they are aiming to start production by the end of next year. That's one thing that Tesla is obviously better than anyone at, is ramping electric vehicle production to high volume. They're better than any other automakers to do it.
Well, they're the only ones who've done it, really.
Yeah, they've done it and they kind of scale.
VW-ish.
Yeah. So So yeah, I think it's gonna be not too far out. Like the problem with the Cybertruck, of course, is that there's a lot of technology too that even that Tesla doesn't know how to do yet. So the whole exoskeleton and things like that. So that might be an issue. But once they do figure it out, it's gonna go fast. So to be safe, I would say probably sometime in the second half of 2023. I would say.
Safe bet.
Yeah.
Ish. I don't know. Does the Ioniq 5 SE or base trim, does it have the glass roof? I don't really want a glass roof in the hot, bright Southwest.
Yeah, it's I didn't write the post about the Ioniq 5 this week, so I'm looking at the all the trims here.
We might have
The
to click
top
through
tier
the
limited
trims.
chip has on of the heads-up display. How they don't they talk more. The difference is more the technology inside, like the driver assist control and the heads-up display. There's no word on the glass roof. I mean, the glass roof are they are treated with anti UVs and stuff like that. So it's not that big of it's a bit hotter, but not that much hotter to be honest. Like I don't live in the Southwest, but the summers are pretty hot here, and I think I've only have cars with glass roof for the past 5 years. Never had a problem.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Any comments on Times Person of the Year, Elon Musk, the man
And I
who
think it's
needs?
Elon's baby that's asking to its ex. Ex is asking.
Oh wow. Yeah, he sorely needs the ego boost. I'm so glad it.
I mean, you read the
Yeah.
piece, like so that's one thing that people need to understand. Like the Time Person of the Year, like Adolf Hitler with Time Person of the Year.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily a good
Good or bad.
thing. It's someone that was like extremely news. I'm not comparing Elon Musk to Adolf Hitler, obviously. I'm just saying like Times as two things. They have the Person of the Year, then they have the Hero of the Year. You want to be the hero of the year. You don't necessarily want to be the person of the year. Now, Elon took it well. Like the first of the year, he participated in the whole Times thing, and he was there for the interview and was there for. I think he was interviewed for the piece and everything. So I mean, the piece wasn't bad on Elon either. Like, but it wasn't actually super good either. Like, I think
Right.
the whole the whole takeaway is like he's an awesome leader that's doing great things for the world, which I completely agree with. But he's also incapable of taking criticism and all that stuff, which is also I think fair. So it was a fair piece overall. I think it was good, but
Yeah. He also
unfortunately,
won. He also won the Financial Times Person of the Year,
yeah,
which
which makes more
so
sense because he brought one of his company
money.
became $1 trillion company this year, so he's doing good on that front. He's the richest man in the world right now and whatnot. So that makes more sense to me.
All right. Do you think Tesla can maintain the original pricing for the Cybertruck by the time it is released?
No.
I'm going to
Next
say no.
question.
Yeah,
I
not
mean,
even close.
they already removed the pricing from the website. There was a ton of inflation over since the price were released. Like it's just almost impossible for them to keep those prices. And even before any of what I just said, people were already super skeptical about the $40,000 base price too. So yeah.
So Sebastian Perlowski has a two-part question here. Why can
Mm.
Teslas have two charge ports on two sides of the car? I think you meant can't. CCS and Tesla charge ports. It's a good question. Porsche on their Taycan actually has a charge port on each side. One is just a level 2 charge port, and one is a one for a level 3. It's kind of nice, depending on where your garage charger is. If you want to
Mm.
pull in backwards or forwards or whatever.
And you can
Um,
use the level 3 for level 2 too if you just don't put the CCS plug, right? Can you?
only one side has the CCS
Yeah.
capability.
But you
Yeah,
can use both sides as a level 2 plug.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
I don't know if you can do both at the same time though.
Oh, okay. Yo, I'm not saying that. Yeah.
Actually, I should find out. That's kind of an interesting situation. All right. Has there been any talk of a Tesla switching to 800-volt architecture? What they're at, I think on uh, the Plaid, they said something about 500 volts. So they made a bit of
Yeah.
a step up,
I don't think it's
or four
500.
something.
Yeah, Tesla has been like inching up like gradually with the voltage on their powertrains. I think it's 480 the plan. I'm not even sure though. I would need to go back and check. They're not advertised that much, but I mean the pack has already been deconstructed and everything. So I want to say 480, but don't quote me on that. Yeah, I mean 800 volt makes a ton of sense for bigger vehicles like the Cybertruck. You're gonna want to have it to achieve a higher charge rate on those, and then it's just easier to achieve the higher charge rate on the 800 volt. And then from there, maybe Tesla's gonna go down market and introduce the technology in other vehicles. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, 800 volts makes a lot of sense because you can get faster charging, smaller wiring, stuff like that. But yeah, we'll see. All right. So our friend David from the Tesla Welt podcast asked, "Why do you think Elon talks about only 20K employees in Texas?" Yeah. When we heard from German government leaders about up to 40,000 new jobs at Giga Berlin after talking to Tesla.
Well, I think the German leaders are probably going a bit crazy with 40,000 jobs. I mean, the Gigafactory Berlin is going to be huge, but do you even want 40,000 people working in the same spot? This sounds like a logistic nightmare, like complete nightmare. Like even Giga Nevada right now at 10,000 people. And there's like just two main routes going there. It's already like a super complicated for the logistics. Like, of course, if you have there's going to be a train station at Giga Berlin that's going to help. But even then, like commuting, of course, 40,000 people is going to be on a few different shifts, but still, it's so many people converging at the same spot.
Maybe there's like an accounting thing. We talked about how Tesla directly employs 20,000 people, but that means that they're going to employ 100,000 in tertiary things. Maybe it's just counted differently in German.
Yeah, because just 20,000 directly at Giga Texas, it's massive. This change, even for a fairly large city like Austin, and which a few million people, metro area probably. I don't even know. But 20,000 job can change. Good paying job can change the whole city. Like it lifts up everyone. So yeah, I mean. 40,000. That sounds a bit excessive to me, but I don't know. I mean, Tesla's already employing 100,000 people. It's growing at an incredible rate. It's becoming like such a major company that I would like to see the rate of employees at Apple, like how fast Apple added employees versus Tesla. That would be an interesting thing to look into.
It'd be nice if they, one of those Reddit guys, Data is Beautiful subs, did one of those 2011, 2012, 2013, and they have like the graphs that are moving. That'd be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that's a cool sub. That is beautiful on Reddit. All right, well, that's pretty much it. We need to let set go. So we're gonna end the podcast right there. But thanks everyone for watching. And if you enjoyed the show, please give us a thumbs up on your app that you're watching right now. If you're watching audio only, we did get some good reviews last week, some 5-star reviews and some good comments that we really appreciated. If you do like the show, and only if you do, please do that. That helps the show a lot, more than you can think, and it's free to do. That's it. I hope you guys have a safe week, safe weekend, and we're gonna see you on the same place.